Welcome back, ladies and gentle people. Well, we are moving on to a high bracket match. We are round 4 here. It will be with Lion, who we watched a little bit earlier, against Dinky King. They will be playing on Highview. So, let us get underway, because this is going to be a cracking match. Whoever wins this will move into the winner's bracket final, which means that they will be very, very close to be able to secure their spot into the grand finals of today's tournament. And with my rambling out of the way, let's actually do this. So, spawning in on your blue team will be Roos as Dinky King, and then the opponent. Actually, we need to resume the game to actually spawn everything else in on the map. And the opponent Lion will be playing as your French. So this is one of your classic lineups because Roos vs French was seen as your two strongest civilizations at the start of, or at the release of Age of Empires 4. They're still regarded as French being top 1 in OP, and Rus being probably your second or third favored civilization, with Mongols being the other one in that top 3. So as you can see here, if you are new to Age of Empires 4, we have stealth forests. A lot of stealth forests conceal your vision radius as you walk around the map. And now let's discuss the map. For our friend over here at Dinky King, oops, that's not the right button. Dinky King is going to have a small gold vein fairly close to him and one a little bit further back. This gives him a couple options if he wants to go for that fast TC to secure possibly a side route so he doesn't get hit from the sides from the French players. Either one down here, or he can look at going for very forward aggression because his hunt has now been cleaned up. He might want to try and put a TC down here, but it's very unlikely as a Roost player that you want to really leave your workers exposed and keep your TCs away from supporting very vital economy. Now, over on your French side, which will be played by your Lion, coming out, going to get set up here. Got a fairly close spawn of that gold vein, and the second one is real far away, hidden at the back. It's going to be very hard to actually spot out where that second gold vein is, because it is behind a little bit behind your stealth forest, and usually you send your scout across here, and you might not be able to see that on your way through. A little bit of an unfortunate spawn there for our French player. He's got berries very close up, but what he does have is he got a fantastic spot for a second TC. So if he does go for that second TC, you can throw it down here. You got berries, you got hunt, you got wood, and you can protect any kind of side rotations the Rus player would like to do against you if they go for any early aggression. So again, if you don't know about the Rus get advantages from killing nature around the map. One of the key things a lot of Rus players like to do is they grab the wolves around and they kite them back or lead them back to your town center. That way, your town center can help deal with the wolves and you get that bounty from the animals. And you may be asking, there's a bounty for killing animals? Yes, the Rus get 10 gold per kill on a deer, 25 per wolf, 5 per sheep, and 75 for a boar. And so every little bit of animal they can grab helps them secure gold and get some additional perks. And they get increased gold rate regeneration from their hunting cabins and also increased gathering rate. So that is some of the key differences between these two civilizations. And the French, well, if you don't know much about Age of Empires, let's just say their knights are the strongest thing in this game. So you'll see the French player more likely than not go for what they call a School of Cavalry and then pump out these knights coming from the School of Cavalry. Dinky King is already getting his Kremlin up, so the Rus are one of those civilizations that you can go is a very equal choice on their Age 2 landmark. The Kremlin or the Golden Gate, I believe it is, Palace. Basically, it's either economy or defense. The Kremlin signifies that he's worried about some knight pushes coming in from his opponent of Lion. So what does this enable? Well, the Kremlin says, I am going to protect everything that's valuable to me, and I'm going to make sure that the knight player cannot get away with securing any cheap kills on my economy line. It does mean the economy is going to be a little bit hampered, and it also means that you won't be buying the stone to get an extra TC. So if we do see Dinkey King come down and throw out we'll have to see Dinkey King throw out a mining camp to actually go up for that TC. And speaking of mining camp, Lion has already rotated over and started working on that stone. Just started to put it on in. So we should see a TC come around 5.5 to 6 minutes for Lion, as Dinkey King now reaches that feudal age. A very early feudal age, a lot faster than his opponent. The School of Cavalry coming out late should indicate to Dinkey King that there's not a huge amount of aggression on its way. He's going to be grabbing his own stable and will be looking towards his own knights soon. Let's have a little look, see if we have any economy upgrades. We don't have any yet for Lion. Lion is now going to be searching those professional scouts. Professional scouts allows your scouts to pick up food across the map. And why not? If the Rus player has already started to kill all of these deer, why not pick them up yourself? And you can already see. Actually, these are sheep. I thought they were deer carcasses. They are not. So the Rus player, even though he's killing all these deer, he hasn't got himself professional scouts, so he's not looking at bringing all this food back. But Lion wants to bring all that food back. Remember, it's 350 food per deer, and if your scouts can bring back a multitude of those, it saves you having to build farms until maybe another 7 to 10 minutes later on. That frees up your workers to get wood to build your unit producing buildings, or you rotate off more villages to get more food to kind of pump out your night production capability. And we still aren't seeing any knights coming out yet, which surprises me. But Dinkey King, he's grabbing all that food, and he should have some knights coming up soon. And there we go. You can see that the early knights, we mentioned it, he's going to be grabbing all that food for his early night production. He's throwing out the blacksmith with the barracks, potentially following up with some pikemen because he is spearman. I say every name except spearman. Following up with some spearmen to make sure that any French aggression is going to be dealt with, and we're not actually seeing that there. Both sides with their professional scouts bringing in the hauls to their families. The unusually passive match here between these two players, and the TC's been dropped by Dinkey King. Oh, sorry, not Dinkey King. From Lion, it's going to give him that little bit of early advantage. The early knight from the Rus player finds himself one kill, and it's going to push those units off that gold vein, which slows down the night production, if there was any, from his opponent. He's going to be forced to throw out an outpost. Again, I would like this outpost to be even closer to the vein. Here it does protect anyone trying to run by, and you get that little bit of extra vision, but it means your villagers have to run further to get to that outpost, giving those knights an additional chance at finding those kills. And these scouts, just found themselves the bounty of the century, coming back home with a little over 1,000 food to Dinkey King. The Dinkey King, I thought I saw him getting some stone earlier, so he should be able to see himself. Actually, no, he's pulled everyone off the stone. Oh, back on the other side, though, those knights are causing a little bit of issues. And like I said, they have to walk so much further to get to that outpost. So another villager has been able to be picked off by Dinkey King. And this night production is starting to get a little out of hand. Got some spearmen coming on in. But Lion still got no military presence. He's got the 4 military, but they're mostly scouts. This is a little bit worrisome. He's got to start trying to get these archery ranges down, but unless he's got the gold to pump out crossbowmen, they're not going to be effective against these knights. As another Art's coming on in, it's going to force him off. He gets a single hit, and he's just like, okay, I'm going to retreat. Take a few shots. You can lose out on your income per minute. And he's going to keep him distracted down bottom. He had a raid coming up at top, but he's going to see that the TC's there. So that raid is going to be shut down from Lion on that 2 TC production. And with Dinkey King finding out that his opponent's got 2 TC, he's going to have to make sure that his raids work. And you can just see him. He's set up all around the map. He even steals himself some food right at the front of Lion's base and runs away with it. There's just so much control coming from the Rus player, which is usually not something you see against the French. He's got to be careful though. He's almost in range for that TC. Over on the other side, the Knights are trying to take down some of these scouts that are trying to bring home some food. I'm not sure why they're engaging, and he loses a scout because of it. A good little charge comes in from the French Royal Knight. He's going to turn around, but 2 Knights against 1 is not the fight you want to take, my friend. And he's going to have to retreat back to the safety of these outposts and additional ones with the scouts still looking around, with a charge coming in from the top. Dinkey King pressuring all sides of the map. Lion struggling at the moment to keep on top. He's having to force to keep an eye on every side of the map at the moment. He is being stretched thin as Dinkey King gets himself an upgrade. He grabs himself the ranged armor and is now looking for that siege engineering. And that's where these spearmen are going to come in very, very handy. There'll be a very fast ram. He's moving up to 300 wood, and this could spell disastrous for Lion very shortly unless he can start producing probably the units he needs to. Archers, in our case, they're going to be great against all the spearmen. But the thing is, Lion is building archers without actually scouting and knowing what his opponent's building. So it is going to work against the spearmen, but it was kind of a blind pick into it. And again, these Knights come on in, find themselves a kill, and they retreat. More idle time for Lion. And Dinkey King just gets further and further ahead. I mean, you look at the economy though, you can see Dinkey King actually has less economy than his opponent, but there's just constant idle time that he's forcing his opponent. So he's actually not falling behind in a lot of this income per minute. You can see once the villages are working, there is a higher income per minute for Lion, but constantly he is forced to pull them off the resource gathering to deal with it. And well, the scout's going to see that there are plenty of spearmen that were looming around. I'm not sure if he saw the ram. And this is going to be disastrous for Lion very shortly. Are we saving up for a second ram? I think we might be prepared for 2 rams before the push. That is so many Knights. That is 9 Knights that are coming in, just having a little poke, seeing what they can see of their opponent. The very quick reaction speed from Lion. Unfortunately, they're just depositing wood there. They weren't actually jumping into the TC. And unfortunately, they're now all idle. And he's got himself 3 Knights and 12 Archers. I don't think that is going to be enough to hold off the pressure that Dinkey King is about to put upon him. So now, as we jump on in, the Rams are going to start absorbing all the pressure from that TC. The Knights are coming on in to do a lot of damage. He didn't bring them in. He does just get them into the TC. And now the Knights are turning back around. The fight's coming on in. The Knights of the early Knights of the Rus play are chasing down those archers. They're forcing everyone off. And look at the damage. All those spearmen with the Rams burning down that second TC. The archers are starting to kick on in. But these archers, they need to work on the pikemen. They're not going to be doing as much damage against those early Knights as you would like. And it's going to push them away. So many units here from Dinkey King. All these villagers are actually somehow killing the Rams. The pikemen are now starting to stab. The Knights have turned back around, firing against the archers. The archers aren't being microed away. They've lost a lot of extra archers you didn't want to have to lose, causing so much idle time here. And there's an overwhelming force of Dinkey King still looming in Lion's base. And we're still only producing from 2 archery ranges and a school of cavalry. You've got so many units queued up in the school of cavalry. This is where you need to go and drop another stable down. He's dropped all the production because he is overcapped. He can't even build more houses. So he's decided we'll get chivalry. We'll do what we can with what we have. And Dinkey King, if we have a little look back at his base, he's just farming effectively. You might need to drop down a little bit of a lumber count, but that doesn't matter at the moment. You're putting all your pressure onto your opponents. Optimizing your economy is not going to matter so much here because you're destroying your opponent's economy. As the Knights, they run into each other. One of the Knights comes off second best for Lion, and now they're starting to storm the eco. No wood being able to be gathered as they're still chasing them down. The Knights turn back around. Lion is losing everything. The villagers aren't even in the TC because he returned them. He didn't actually get them to garrison inside. They're now finally on inside. They're starting to do some damage. The Ram was behind, so the TC is actually going to start doing damage to the military of Dinkey King. But how much longer can Lion put up against the aggression? He's lost so much. He lost his second TC. He's losing villages. He's got no one out. The villagers even come out to say, hello, please clean us up from our poor miserable lives, as they watch their home go up in flames from the Rams and the pressure of Dinkey King. I think that is it, my friends. I think Dinkey King has wrapped this up. I cannot see Lion returning back from this, and there we go. The GG has been called. The pressure from Dinkey King strong enough for him to go into round 5, and his next match will be a best of 3, and it will also be the match that could put him into the grand finals. Lion, this is not it for Lion. Lion will be moving down into the lower brackets, waiting for the next opponent to take them on and to try and redeem themselves. And we could even still see Lion make their way to the grand finals if Lion can continue the momentum previously to this match. Unfortunately, Lion, as that French, did not quite utilize those knights or the aggression earlier on. You can see that when that second TC came online after a few of those raids, was able to secure that villager and economic lead. But the military count of Dinkey King was just overwhelming, had 3 to 4 times the pressure of the opponent, and just continued to barrel over Lion. So, my friends, that will be that map done and dusted. We will be searching for our next match to jump on, so stay tuned. More Age of Empires 4 action coming up soon, and remember, there are 2 channels hosting zero effort content here for you today. I am one of them, and the second channel was, let me just find the link for you, it is GTR1H. So they will also be casting a lot of your matches here today. So make sure to follow both the channels to keep up to date with zero effort and the current tournament we got going on for you. And I'll be back soon. So stay tuned for more Age of Empires action.